Over the last 10 years, I've been a graphic designer. There have been a few quotes that really stuck with me and could be directly applied to benefiting my career in graphic design. Today, I want to share those 3 quotes with you all and some lessons that I learned that will drastically improve your career as a graphic designer. Let's get into it. Done is better than perfect. A lot of graphic designers and other visual artists that I've met, for some reason, are really plagued by this disease of perfectionism. I think sometimes it becomes such a problem that it interferes with people ever really creating anything or finishing something and seeing it all the way through to completion. Sometimes this idea of perfectionism can be used as a crutch to never actually finish projects or never put yourself out there or never be vulnerable, because it's hard to see something from the beginning to the end, finish it, put it out there and leave it for the world to interpret and think about, and not putting yourself out there like that and never finishing something and never allowing something to just be good instead of perfect. You'll never give yourself the opportunity to get those wins and the successes and the great feeling of the admiration from other people seeing your work. And yes, you do have to live with the fact that sometimes people are going to shit on your work, or people aren't going to like it, or you're going to get some unsolicited feedback that, really hits the core because it may be something that you think is a little bit true. But I think those downsides are far outweighed by the benefits of being involved in a community and sharing your work and being vulnerable, with the rest of the world by putting stuff out there. And some of the most talented designers and visual artists have put out an insane body of work. Putting yourself above that and thinking that your work requires a unique level of perfection that other people haven't achieved somehow is not a good way of thinking, and an easy way to never really feel satisfied in the stuff that you're creating. This applies to personal artwork, personal graphic design projects, things that you're doing just for fun and just for yourself. You should see those through and complete them. And then in the world of graphic design, and creating stuff for commerce and client work and real projects or whatever you want to call them, this is where it matters more than ever, because clients will always prefer a finished product that is good than an unfinished product that is perfect. Designers who create good work consistently are going to be the people who get hired, not someone who attempts to create a perfect piece of work. An actionable tip that has helped me combat perfectionism is this thing called Parkinson's Law. Basically, a task will fill the space of time that you allow for it. So if you give yourself unlimited amount of time to complete this perfect project, that project is going to take an unlimited amount of time. If you give yourself a week, it'll take a week. You give yourself a day, 8 hours, 1 hour, whatever. So something you can do if you want to start practicing and getting better and developing your craft is giving yourself a set amount of time to complete something at a certain cadence every day, every week, every month. You'll start to notice that when you say you're going to do something in this amount of time and you actually give yourself that time crunch, you end up actually getting it done. So I've always strived to be on the side of producing more and more work, because repetition leads to better work. Consistently doing work, consistently creating design will make you a better designer. Working on one piece of design over and over and over isn't really going to develop your skills, because you're not trying new things, you're not pulling from different sources, you're not completing something from start to finish, so you don't have the routine and you haven't developed the muscle like in your mind and I guess in your fingers or whatever you're doing with design to actually complete a project. Everything I've done is not perfect, but I'm proud that I'm able to put myself out there anyway and keep trying and iterating and getting better again. And this is not a message to produce rushed or poor work. It's more an idea to help you get through creative block and start actually consistently putting yourself out there and producing work. When you give yourself the freedom of just creating something that is good rather than perfect, you might even actually end up creating something that is great. A closed mouth doesn't get fed. Put yourself out there, shoot your shot, risk it for the biscuit, whatever you want to call it. Just bet on yourself and be vocal with your needs and the things that you want. And obviously this applies to a career in graphic design, but I think this is also just a good mentality to have as a human. When I first started my career as a graphic designer, fresh out of college, I had this misconception that the world was going to make opportunities for me, that I was this special designer or person who is different from all these other graduates. And the harsh reality was I applied to hundreds of jobs, and it took me that many just to hear back from some and finally get hired, you know? And applying to all those jobs forced me to realize I need to make my own opportunities, and I need to put myself out there and show people that I can be a valuable addition to their company, their team, their project, whatever. Closed mouth doesn't get fed, and putting yourself out there can apply to so many facets in the graphic design world, not just getting hired for a salary position. I think it's important these days, especially, to put yourself out there online and show up as the creative behind the work, as well as producing good work and putting it out there online. Be involved in the communities that you like and that you want to work in. Post the type of design work you like to do. And if you're not getting hired for that type of design work yet, then, post conceptual work that shows that you can add value into that community, into that scene, into that niche, whatever it is. If you give potential clients that proof of concept and show them the abilities you have as a designer, it'll help you get hired. I've done this in so many different ways in the music industry by creating posters, fictional album art, this and that goes on to get hired for those actual projects, as well as creating remakes of fake movie posters that have gotten me real movie poster design projects. And earlier on, lots of fake logos and brand identities that caught the attention of companies looking for a logo, small businesses, any of these different niches that then hired me. Closed mouth doesn't get fed thing applies to, the words you speak and putting yourself out there, but it also applies to showing the work that you can do and just being good at communicating in a design sense as well. People sit around and they wait for these opportunities and they wait to get hired, but they haven't really showed these people what they're capable of. So it's okay to put that initial investment in and do design work for yourself and for free, and not to benefit companies, but just to show that you're capable. And also it's just fun, have fun with it and reach out to clients you want to work with. Do cold emails, do cold messages. The worst thing that they can say is no. And yeah, you may be a little bit embarrassed, but in an internet world, there's endless choices for people to hire. So you need to make yourself present and readily available in someone's mind. Make these connections that can help you later in the long run. Don't just be messaging people, asking them for things and asking them for opportunities. Make genuine connections and show how you can add value in the future, and just, be a good person. If you're a good human and then you happen to be a good designer, that person's going to get hired way more than the person who sucks but is just good at design. Some of the best opportunities I've ever gotten all stemmed from just personal relationships and friendships and bonding with people over common interests outside of looking for any gain or advancement in a capitalist system. When you show genuine connection and interest in other people, they're probably going to reciprocate that, and it's going to help you advocate for yourself in the future and ultimately probably end up turning into some cool projects. So be comfortable putting yourself out there, and don't be afraid to communicate the things that you want to get out of your career. The best time to start was yesterday. The second best time is now. I put these 3 quotes together because they really break down to 3 key points that I see myself have struggled with and a ton of other designers and visual artists struggle with. The first one was essentially about perfectionism, the second, insecurity, and this third, procrastination. Those are like the 3 pillars of an internet graphic designer, And I don't want to keep adding to that lore and that self-deprecation. We don't need that. We need more positive messaging, and I think a lot of people struggle with this specific feeling of procrastination and the fear of the unknown. And I get that. It can be hard to think you're too young, too old, too late, too early, whatever it may be to a specific community, but in my experience, that's almost never the case. I learned that with my graphic design career, starting it in high school. Technically, I felt like I was too young, and yeah, I made a lot of mistakes, but the fact that I got a lot of those mistakes and early grievances done with before I was even deep into college was greatly beneficial to me now. If I would have started not until after college or in college, I'd still be going through a lot more of those growing pains. Beginning any new project, new endeavor, new career, it can be intimidating, and I get that. And in addition to my graphic design career, I had to relive that intimidation of starting something new a few years ago when I started doing this channel and creating content on Instagram and YouTube and all that. Now, I feel like it was one of the best decisions I ever made. It literally completely changed my life. Something as stupid as learning how to operate a camera and start recording and talking and showing my design process and all the other silly things that we've done here on this channel. I'm so happy I did that, because any fear, regret, or embarrassment that you may feel from starting something new and being bad at it and putting yourself out there is nothing compared to the regret and kind of pain and grief you feel for never have started something in the first place. No one's gonna expect you to be good at something when you first start, so why are you so worried about that? You could be the worst graphic designer in the entire world, but if you put yourself out there and you're continuing to learn, and I can see that you're trying, that will garner so much more respect and admiration from myself, and I'm sure a lot of my peers, than someone who's afraid to even try. You know, when I first started my career in freelance, I felt so behind because I didn't know how to work with clients. I didn't know how to charge the right things, and my business senses were all off, and that worked out, even though I felt behind, and now it's working better. And that same thing applied to this content. I was so embarrassed to do YouTube and this and that. If I wouldn't have applied that the best time to start is today mentality, I would have always said, oh, it's too late, I'm too old, I'm never gonna get there. And just excuses. And I'm so happy that my past self and other people who I respect that have done such cool things in this world were brave enough to do that first step and just try. And don't get me wrong, I've had a lot of ups and downs in my career as a graphic designer, my career as a content creator, and just me, Jesse, as a human. But going through those hard times and putting genuine effort and interest and obsession into something makes those wins so much more rewarding. And you know, this mentality can apply to just so little things in your life as well. If I would have been too embarrassed the first time I went rock climbing, I wouldn't have this new fun hobby that I like to do 2 to 3 times a week with my friends. And you know, if I would have quit early, I would have never had the joy of getting good enough to talk to the more talented people at the gym, you know, and all the silly jargon like flagging your leg out and toe hooks and crimps and whatnot. I hope that whatever you're thinking about starting, this just gave you that couple % more motivation that you needed to push it over the edge. So I wish you the best in whatever thing you're about to start. Thanks for watching, y'all. I hope this video helped you out just a little bit. And if there's anything that you think can help others in their journey, drop it in the comments and we can learn more stuff together. That's it for now. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.